We come up with our numbers in practice.
Yeah.
Then we go into competition, and that's when we dial our numbers in.
Yeah.
If you're like, listen, my number in practice is 76, but in competition it's 81, your number's 81.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it's not consistent 81 in competition, that's a different story,
Yeah, I agree.
right? That's something we got to figure out. All right, we got Adrian Meronk in today. He's from the Live Tour, plays on the Cliques. First Polish player to ever win on the European Tour. Great player. Unique thing about Adrian is he is 6 feet 6 inches tall, one of the tallest professional players in the game of golf. He's coming back. He was here about a month ago. We worked on 3 things. Number 1 was improved contact. He was having some contact issues throughout the entire bag, from driver all the way down to wedges. He wanted to make sure that he stayed healthy, so he wanted to make sure he was doing the right thing in the gym. And then number 3 is distance wedges. He felt like that was one of the biggest areas where he can improve. Contact is getting better with his full swing. Felt like that's improving. Still not perfect with the distance wedges, so we're gonna take a look at that. If you like videos like this and more content from MyTPI, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. We'll keep you notified anytime a new video launches.
When I'm trying to hit those 50, 60, 70 meter shots, I struggle with them on the course under pressure. I tend to go a little bit too long and then just slow down.
Can't repeat it the same way under pressure. Or do you consistently go too long in competition?
Not consistently, but occasionally.
Because when the adrenaline's going and everything, it can be different. You just keep warming yourself up. Go all the way up to the driver. For a distance wedge?
Because he's got so much width. So high.
You think that applies finesse and distance same way?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Stricker yesterday. But he's the best finesse, distance wedge player. I mean, you should have seen him hit distance wedge.
He does have a lot. We talk about width, that's really the distance between your hands and the center of your chest. Think of that as width. A lot of players know that if they get good width in their swing, it can actually help improve with everything from distance to contact. And in the search for width, and you'll hear this a lot, players are trying to get wider, they feel like that's helping them. Sometimes that width search can lead to improper movements. There's a little bump to move. I always feel like that leads to inconsistency. Don't you?
Cam.
Talking to Dave. We'll talk to you in a second. I'm just watching. The key with distance wedges is distance control. So most great players can hit it at the target, but sometimes it's too short, too long. Now, a lot of that comes to consistent contact. If you hit too heavy or too thin, the energy won't be the same.
Also, try to move my hips.
Right, right. I think it's important, we'll just say now, because I think there was a little bit of this when you left last time too, is we talk about finish where you start. Like if you move like a driver, the plumb bob's here, and it stays, like let's say it's slightly back of center and it stays there in the backswing. I like to start where you finish at the top of the backswing.
Okay.
If you start here and then you bump over here and you're moving during your backswing, it can move the
Swing.
strike point and it can create some inconsistencies.
Okay.
You know, as your club gets shorter, obviously accuracy becomes much more important. With a driver, I can hit anywhere on the fairway and I'm still good. With a, let's say, a 60-degree wedge and I'm trying to hit 70 yards, you got to get a lot closer to make that putt. Have you always had a bump?
Kind of, yeah.
So do you feel like you need that? Is that something that...
It's probably my natural instinct. But
that's what we have to figure out. Like, I don't want to get rid of something that's like comfort too, you know what I mean? But
this
yes,
bump? Or
the first move.
here?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I'm always like, can we just start there? That way you don't have to bump.
Okay. So, and just rotate from there?
Yeah, so like, yeah. One of the things we're seeing with Adrian is he's got a lot of set, he's got a lot of width, but he still has that bump. And we saw that on the first visit, that he created this little sway, and that little sway tilted his spine. Now with wedges, because you want consistent contact and you want it to be the same over and over again, when you add a variable like lateral movement, it can actually make it harder to time. Sometimes you time that movement back, sometimes you don't. You know, the key with making consistent contact is remove variables, don't add variables. You want to be a robot, right? You want the bottom of the arc to be the same, right? If the robot stays planted here, it's easy to hit the same spot. If the robot moves this way and this way, now you have to time this as well too. So minimizing that can help.
Yeah.
So we just figure out, do we need to be more left or right at the start? That way we stay there in the backswing, then we just go left. See what I keep seeing, if you watch this from the front, Dave, I keep seeing right hip high in the backswing. If that bump makes your right hip go up in the air for a right-handed player, it tilts the platform that your trunk is rotating around. So now your trunk starts to lean towards the target and you get into that reverse spine angle. That can dramatically change what you have to do on the downswing to make good contact.
Still, yeah?
So set up like you're gonna hit. Let's do a couple backswings. Yeah, it definitely is. You should. So you can get your upper body over, but keep your lower body stable. Don't, see, it's hard for you to do those two together. Stay loaded, don't, you like that little bump.
Yes,
Get more of that stable, no. Now hit one feeling that resistance there. That's weird, right? Does it feel like it takes away your ability to turn?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when you go lateral, it helps you rotate.
Yeah.
When you don't go lateral, you don't like to turn. That
Feels
makes,
like it, yeah.
it's not like you can't play good golf doing that. But, or we just have to learn how to do it. Because we want you to rotate, we just didn't want you to go lateral. See how he just hikes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can see where the inconsistency coming in. Keep going. Keep going up. The good news, I think it's obvious what we need to continue working on. So I actually think the upper body looks better. It's the lower body that's, yeah.
Almost looks like that knee is that leg straight and that's
Yeah, that's yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, there's too much.
he starts left and then rocks onto that side.
You can see at the top of the backswing, he's got one of those straight right legs, left leg bent. Most players in the backswing, they'll maintain a slight flex in the right knee and they'll load and just rotate around their right hip. If you lock your knee, you can't get rotation out of your knee. So now you got to get more rotation out of your hip, which we know with Adrian from his first visit, he had some internal hip rotation problems with his right side. We got some work to do there. So by the fact that he's locking his right knee, restricting how much he can rotate, this is why sometimes the players will side bend instead. Center of your pelvis should be in the center of your stance.
Yeah.
Right? When you bump that left hip high, it goes forward.
Okay.
It needs to come back over here. And notice you have to flex that right knee to keep the left hip high to do this. So you take the left hip high over here. To bring this back and keep this high, this has to be a little soft.
Okay.
If that's straight, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I like left hip high, but then when you get
Like
your left
the
hip
right
high,
knee.
to keep this high, you can't keep this high and keep that leg straight. I don't know how to do that. This has to, it'll go this way. Okay. Sometimes the way you set up can force you to bump in your backswing. And what I mean by that is if I set up with my right leg straight and my left leg bent, typically what that means is I've probably got more weight, more pressure on the lead side. So what I want to do in the backswing instinctively is load my trail side. So what I'll do is I'll bump and I'll get over to the right side, but that lateral movement is what can create these inconsistencies because now I got to move the lateral back. So a lot of times what most players do is they do the complete opposite. They'll actually start by preloading their trail side. You'll see the right knee bent and the left leg straighter, and therefore it takes away the need to have to bump into the right side.
Like this?
Yeah. 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 And
That looks different.
Yeah,
That
that's
looks
better.
better.
And you feel more loaded on your right leg. Now just turn.
You want this knee
Yeah.
bend a little bit more?
Yeah.
I feel so much in the right now.
Yeah, it feels more right now. So now you don't have to bump. Just turn.
So that's you feeling right. Okay. It's not right at all, right? So that looks kind of normal.
It does, yeah.
What was very obvious is it looked like you're doing this little bump, right? And then this right leg stayed straight, and almost like you stayed there, and then your first move was this. You went this way and then this way. Where I'd almost want you to get here and now just turn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just rotate, just turn. We see this with a lot of players. I call it a fake turn. They bump lateral with their lower body and their upper body tilts sideways. And it looks like a big turn. It looks like a turn, but it's really more of lateral with side bend. Let me see the club for a second, just to remind you of something. Set up like you're gonna hit. Hands like this. Okay, now you're gonna do one like this. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, versus rotation. Let me see the up and down. Yep, that's the sway. And now let's see the turn. More turn, more turn. Turn, turn. Yeah. So one of the things that I think becomes blatantly obvious really quick to us and to Adrian is that he just doesn't like to rotate, right? He's so ingrained this lateral bump instead of actually turn, and this can be a very different feel for most players. He's got great spine mobility, great shoulder mobility. He had a little bit of restriction in the right hip that he's been working on, but not enough to restrict his turn. Like he should, this is more of a motor pattern. Now I'll just turn.
Because my miss, especially with longer irons, are like weak pull draws or like hooky ones, like toey ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And your ball speed on
That would make sense.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'd love to eliminate those because it's
Yep.
88, 89, so
Yep.
miserable. That looks fine?
Yeah. Right there.
There's still, I think we need to get in front of a mirror. I don't think the turn's right. Do you?
I think it's a little tilty.
Yeah.
But I think his, like, look at his shallowing mechanism, right? So he's always been a little bit vertical and then he shallows the club. It gets a little tilty, which gets that hip out. You wouldn't get as much of that. He's doing that.
That's what's creating the left, the under pull.
That's also what creates that, the thin one.
Thin one?
Yeah.
When you don't turn in your backswing, when it's more of a fake turn, like I said, a bump with the pelvis and a side bend, what you have to do is you have to shallow the club, and he uses his arms to really shallow it because his body is so tilted towards the target. Now what this will do is it'll get you under the plane. Now if you're under the plane, you come from under the plane to outside the plane, that's what creates the pull hook. And I think he's struggling with this. I think this is one of the big problems here.
If I'm that way as well, it's easy to hit a pull. Like if you feel like you're gonna go cover it and all of a sudden you look up and it's going left. So let's go in the mirror.
Yeah, I think we know we need to go after. If we get him to do more of a turn, he'll get more of a turn on the downswing. And the other cool thing about rotating on the downswing, which is really important, the club starts to exit left. And as you rotate, it actually opens the face. As the face opens, left pulls disappear. Set up so that that line is right on the outside of your right hip. Take a backswing and watch what your pelvis does. What does it do? Yeah, you see that? Yeah. Can you rotate and not sway? A lot of times when you're doing something, it feels one way, but you're actually really doing something different. And I think a lot of times this is where a guidance device like a mirror can be very helpful. His body, his brain's trying to figure out what does rotation feel like. And this is very common, right? If this is a new motor skill, adding a little bit of rotation can be quite a challenge.
So you're going a little bit, like if I'm behind you, get in the mirror, look, right? You're going this way. This leg right here is going, see how I'm moving this way? Watch this, I rotate. I rotate, but look, I stay here. So I'm rotating my thigh, you're straightening your leg to turn. There you go. Yeah, rotate.
A little more flex in the right leg. Stay a little more flex and just turn.
There you go. Now you're rotating your thigh to turn. You're turning into your hip.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Good. Good. Yes.
Yeah, wow. That's way better.
Yes.
Okay.
That's loading the right leg.
Okay.
Now you could jump, right? Now you could push. It's like a, yes.
Okay, so it's too much like
Yeah.
this.
You go this way. You go,
Like that.
you sway and your right hip goes up. Yeah.
Like this, right? With this
Yes,
straight.
yes, yes.
Like, so you want this?
I think you're going to like that way better.
See, Adrian, there's a lot of younger guys that don't have your width or height. They often try to do this so they can get more width. You don't need that.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't want someone like you. Someone as tall as you needs to be stable so that they can use the ground
As
effectively.
less movement as possible.
The more you add in this component, usually there's more inconsistency.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go hit some balls. Feel like you're twisting and turning, right? Yep. Keep going. I like it. Keep going.
Weird. That's a good move.
I think it's the move you need to work on. Yeah, you're not swaying, which is great. Yes. What do you think? How does that feel?
Feels more compact, like more connected.
Okay.
body and in one place, kind of.
Good. That's I like that. One place. You're not moving off the ball. Yeah, you're definitely not swaying now, which is good. The question is, can you feel it? Can you feel the load on the right leg and the load twist? Okay, that's the key. What do you think, Dave?
It's definitely better. You tend to take the club, keep it outside your hands, relatively steep, with the face a little bit shut,
Yeah.
a lot of set, and then you shallow it.
Yeah.
Most good distance control wedge players, because it's such a short club, you already have angle. You don't need to add angle. So what they do is they set up, they already have angle, and they just turn. So I've just turned the club in a position and it's on plane and it has plenty of angle.
So one of the advantages here at TPI is we have 3D data on some of the best wedge players in the world. And when you start looking at like what makes them great, you start to notice certain things that maybe aren't so obvious. One of the things is what we call angle, and this is wrist set angle. Wrist set angle is the angle between the club and your forearm. If we're looking at that angle, to create a lot of angle or wrist set or lag, right, you have to do what's called hinging up. That's called radial deviation. Okay, as you hinge up, right, it sets the club. Now in full swing, you'll see this a lot to increase your speed on the downswing, but with distance wedges, it can be sometimes a problem.
You almost look like your first move is to add angle, which you don't really need, and then you try and get it back to where it's shallow. So it requires so much timing to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas what I'm trying to do is on distance control wedges, I don't have enough time to shallow.
Yeah.
It's a short swing.
Yeah.
Longer club, I have time to shallow, right? But on a shorter distance control wedge where I'm trying to control the flight and the spin, I want to take away things to make it easy.
Any of these little adjustments that you have to make in your swing, whether it's adjusting from lateral to adjusting from too shallow to too steep, can make consistency a problem. And anytime with distance wedges, when you have consistency of contact off, even if it's off by a millimeter, distance will change, and now you don't get the distance that you think you're going to get, and your distance wedges become a problem. Take it back, take it back. If I look at this angle right here, most great distance wedge players, that's not
Like this.
really like full swing. It's like this, but they're
So
more
like
like
wrists are
this.
locked.
It's just less set.
Okay.
They're already. It's more of the lead wrist is more this way than that way. It's more this way.
Okay.
Almost feels like they're hinging down versus hinging up.
Because the club is shorter, I already have angle. So all I'm doing is turning, and look, I didn't add any more set to that wrist. So because I'm looking at you there and I turn, the club's on plane. If I set, it's now vertical, and I have to bring it back on plane. You see what I'm saying? It's just a variable.
One of the keys in wedges, you never want to get shallow early, right? So you want to keep it on plane and then go steep.
Just try one where you feel like you have no extra set. No, that's too much.
Just turn.
Just turn.
Just turn. Just rotate.
Turn. You're not doing anything with your left hand. Your left hand's there, and there's no extra cock of the left wrist. There you go. There you go.
That looks like that's Steve Stricker. Who was here yesterday.
That's working
Yeah.
right on plane.
Good. Hit one like that. Just don't even worry what the ball does.
Quite flat.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't even worry what the ball does. That was probably better than you thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
If you go steep as you set in the backswing, your first response is the shallow, and all of a sudden you get underneath. Again, what I really would like you to do is stay on plane and then steepen on the downswing, because that's really, really important for making good contact.
When the club is on plane, my chest can take it around. If I have to wait to shallow it, it disconnects my arms from my chest. And now all of a sudden it's got to become timing driven through impact. Yeah, just like that. That's just going right up on plane. I know it feels tremendously flat for you. That was nice. It's literally going, it's the same plane as it was at address.
Yeah.
It's not flat.
Yeah.
But you know, your perception, it's the turn. Like if it turns better,
It has
he
to
doesn't
turn
have
to
to
do this.
Yeah.
You
have
don't-
to turn,
You have
yeah.
to turn. If you don't turn, you can't not hinge.
You can accelerate your trunk and you don't have to shallow the club as much now.
Simple's a good thing. Hit that. Bounce it right there. Do the same thing. No set.
These are going to lean a little more left, obviously, and stay left. There you go.
Can you see how that might be a little less timing driven? Once you get that down? Everything's the same. All the other angles, everything's the same. It's just less set. We're not really changing his motor pattern. We're adding a new one, but that old one's still there. So if you think like, oh, I saw him do it, he's good. He's still got the old pattern there too, right? So he's got to do the new pattern so much that the brain starts to replace the old one with the new one. Because if he doesn't do enough volume here, enough practice here, trust me, the old one's going to shine. So all we're doing is we're turning instead of swaying and just minimizing the set.
Yeah, very good.
Hit one with sway and set.
All the way?
Old way, sway and set. Yeah, yep, sway and set. Okay, now show me rotation and minimize sweat, set. Okay.
Shallower, right? Yeah. And not going higher, it's actually flying better and spinning better.
The key here is you've got to feel the difference between the old pattern and the new pattern. You really have to take time and make sure that when you're doing something, it's really what you think you're doing. You've got to have that feel, or else, sometimes practice is dangerous because you think you're doing one thing and you're not. The key is rotation. You've got to rotate.
Rotate.
From behind it looks.
Take a backswing, and I want you to feel like you're facing me. Set up like you're gonna hit, and I want you to turn, face me. Turn. Turn. That's rotation. Turn. Notice you don't like to rotate. Here's a key lesson here right now. We've been working for a couple hours here on the range. He saw what it felt like, the difference between turning and side bending in the mirror. But now we're out here on the range, and you can see it's not easy, right? You can take these great golfers and play for a long time, and to make these little changes can be quite a challenge because these motor patterns are really set in the brain. It's kind of strange that rotation feels weird to you, right? Yeah. Like you're thinking like, we're in a rotation sport. You think you'd be rotating all the time, but you're not. You did this. You've had a fake turn for a long time.
I'd like to take that feel to like an 8-iron.
Yeah.
So we're going to turn and feel a little bit less of this. We're going to feel a little bit more like that Steve Stricker wedge feel. And we're just, turn it.
That is perfect. That is not crazy. It feels like way behind you over here.
Not.
It's great.
It's going right up on plane. Right?
Yeah, you'll love that.
Do you like this?
Yeah,
It's more athletic.
Try one.
Yes, that's more athletic. Keep doing that.
And that's a different
That's
strike,
the first
right?
one I've seen you turn. It's almost like you're scared to do that. Who cares what the ball does?
Well,
It's so different. Yeah. Yeah, turn. There you go.
like way behind.
I'm telling you, dude, with your height, if you start adding turn, you'll outdrive everybody by a mile. But I love the turn. Like I can see the buttons on your shirt when you turn. Before I couldn't see that.
So as crazy as it feels, right? This is your preset, right? That feels like it's crazy, right? And it should. And then when you actually watch yourself go to hit it, watch.
Yeah.
That's not that crazy, right?
Nothing.
No.
So I mean, sometimes you have to over-feel it in order to get just a little somewhere. All we're trying to do is simplify, not add more. Like that actually looks good there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now he's just at that point where the club's never been over here. He's trying to figure out how to get on the downswing.
Yeah.
If it's all right. You've never had the club wide and deep. It's always been out in front over here. Yeah. I think a better way to think of width is width with depth. In other words, you can create width by just taking your hands up out to your side, or you can rotate and bring your hands wide behind you. One way to get more width is just sway, go more lateral. Like, I feel like, hey, I'm getting wider, but your whole body's moving over there. What we really need is we need your body to stay stable and create width. That combination is what really matters. And I think Adrian's starting to learn that as well.
Yeah, that looks amazing. So again, just so you can see feel, there's your feel. But it shallows and it's on your forearm plane, it's back in front of you.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that we don't need as much. The steeper I am, the more I have to shallow. If I can reduce that by half and still have you shallow a little bit, it's just the variable for error will be that much better.
We always say we feed what you need. If you're really a rock and roller, we feed a little twisting. If you were twisting, we'd feed a little rock and roll.
Sure.
We're not going to turn you into a rock and roller, into a twister. You're always going to be rock, but we just need to feed it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just need a little bit of feel.
That was
Very
really
good there.
That was the best one I've seen so far.
That was very good.
Keep going.
Rotation's better now?
I was way
Love
better.
The knee as well?
Yeah,
Love
it was a lot better. Yeah.
Look where the hands are. Just
know.
just the practice versus outside his
Yeah,
left
yeah.
shoulder. Yeah.
Yep.
You need to focus on the things you need. Add the positive. Don't say, hey, stop going lateral. Tell me what I need to do. I need to rotate. Feed what you need. Rotate more. Rotate and add those into your motor programming from the gym all the way to their full swing. You're going to swing, rock and roll, but we're going to practice twist to feed what you need, if that makes sense. I think the rehearsal needs to be exaggeration, and then you rock when you play.
Exaggerate?
Yeah. It feels like you're on the inner circle, like you're rotating on the circle, right? Now when you play, now hit a shot. Now you can do your normal rock and roll, and it just feeds a little. Would that make sense? What's normal stock for you?
Recently has been draw. I like to have a neutral working towards the fate.
You like the little buttercut? Little.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's
like
the.
here's an
yeah.
Olympian
Yeah. Okay.
accepting the draw.
I'm wondering if Dave, come over here and just watch this from down the line. That's just the practice. Tee shot.
Yeah, if he goes vertical.
Yeah.
If he goes around like that, he'll hit a cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look,
Yeah.
he went around and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Show them how if you feed that club face with rock and roll, why it'll hook. There's this unique relationship between body rotation and club face rotation. The more on the downswing you rotate open, right? What that does is it actually opens the club face. Players that don't have a lot of rotation, ones that go more lateral, right? Then we have these problems where the face can get closed really quick, right? The face gets closed, left comes into play, and there's nothing worse than a left miss for professional golf. Stand right here and watch Dave.
Your tendency is always this way, right? So you set up, you're a little bit this way.
See the club face a little closed?
A little bit shut, right? So look, if I go this way and go 2 down, even if I shallow as I shift, I'm going to be on top of it, and I'm going to tend to hit more of a pull hook, right?
Oh
Yeah. But if I actually, you can keep the club face where it is, but as long as I go around, now it's actually going to force me to turn. And in many ways, I'm going to hit more
So
of
the
a face.
rotation opens the face.
That makes sense because that's my message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock and roll will close the face. The last thing we need to do is add more rock and roll to you. We need to add more twist to you to open that face.
They'll open the face and then move away, take away.
You don't have to change your face.
You don't
We're
have to
just
change
saying,
the face.
If you keep the face like that, if you rotate, you're fine.
Okay.
If you rock and you go up, it's going to be
the
close.
club more square.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you go rock and roll,
Better here as long as you rotate.
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. There you go.
Remember handing me the over here. Turn and hand me the.
That looked good there. Ah, beautiful, man. I love that one. I love the one that looks like it's going to draw, and then at the end it fades.
It's a great feeling to be able to aim down the left side of the fairway, rotate as hard as you want, and know the ball won't go left. If anything, it cuts into the middle of the fairway. So I know Adrian is looking for this type of movement. That's what I think all great players want.
Good. Now just go. Very good.
Take that all day long.
That kind of shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good,
So
right?
we'll take that all day long.
So 1, 2 feel, and then just hit a shot. Don't think about it. Good feel. Go. Perfect. See, that'll just fall to the right. So remember, you always go the extreme, but we're really changing this much.
Yeah.
It's minor.
Yeah.
Good.
That's the shot right there.
Coach would go more like this, right?
The more rotation you have, I'm talking 35, 40 degrees of trunk rotation, up to 60 degrees of pelvic rotation through impact, it's really hard to close the club face. And keeping that club face open leads to that little, what I call the butter cut, one of the best shots in golf. All these rotation things, there's nothing this. You're never doing this. You know what I mean? All that's the feed rotation. I love the flex and the rotation. That's great. Notice the more aggressive you open, the ball should fade more.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Yeah, good stuff.
Man, that's the flight you want right there. Oh, no. That's perfect. Can I see this with a distance wedge?
Sure.
I like it. I like it. Do you like it?
Well,
Different.
I like it, but it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Augusta. Exaggerate the practice move, the rotation, the turn. Like when I say exaggerate, like bring me the club over here, just turn. Do an exaggeration when you turn. Yep. And then just do your normal rock and roll swing. So I always say in practice, don't be scared to exaggerate movements. Let's say you sway 3 inches to the right. To not sway 3 inches to the right, it's almost going to feel like you're going to go 3 inches left.
That's fine.
That's fine. Remember, you're not going to swing like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's just feeding. It's putting guardrails on your swing so you don't rock too much. I just think we just need to do a bunch of it. Let me summarize it for you a little bit. So stand here just so we're on the same page. So we think there are 2 variables that you have too much of that if we reduce, it'll make it easier. The first one is there was too much lateral, which creates too much rock and roll. We think that's a lot to do with setup. You know, if you set up over here, then you want to rock over here. So we're like, let's just start there and turn, right? So we want to reduce that. What kind of goes along with that, another variable that's a big one, is how much you set the club, right? Especially on your distance wedges, right? So the more you set, the more you have to release, and that's a variable, right? On the distance wedges, okay, because when you rotate, the club is shut, right? If you go steep, that is so you have to shallow this. Whereas if you just turned, that actually effectively makes you rotate more. When you rotate through impact, what does the face do? I mean, face goes open. The more your body turns, the face goes open. So you can't shut this enough, right? So think about this as if the face is shut, we want you to turn because that helps open the face. If you just rock and roll and there's no turn, ball's going left, right? So the 2 variables minimize this. Set up properly.
That'll be the
feed,
right knee,
yeah, feed turn. That'll help your rock and roll. For the distance wedges, same thing. That's the most important. And then you don't need as much set if you're turning. You don't need as much hinge on your distance wedge. Those would probably be the 2 takeaways, right? It just keeps the rails on.
Remember, it's a feel. You're not inside. You're right up and down the plane, right?
Okay.
So you've been lifting it outside,
Yeah.
rock and roll. You've been this way and then this way. Now you're just, it's less.
Okay.
So you don't have to shallow it as much coming down. I mean, that last one was nice, right? Nice flight, control the trajectory.
So here,
Yeah,
I think the feeling.
yeah, that's it. It's just going up the plane.
Like the wrists are not doing anything.
Yeah,
Good feeling.
yeah,
They're already doing it.
Yeah.
It's already set.
yeah.
That was great.
That was better.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian, it's not even close to being around. You have not exaggerated rotation at all. So
I mean, as much as that felt like it, that was right up the plane.
So I can go. Okay.
I mean, you're not even close to over exaggerating that.
No wrist set.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even close to that.
Try to hit it like this.
I mean, that's
You want to hit it high and soft.
That was exaggerated or still not?
you don't know what exaggerate feels like. The good news is this is nothing. This is the same as we talked last time, which is that's good. There's nothing. It's just it's
I
more.
like this feeling with the right
Yeah,
knee though.
yeah,
That was definitely always
yep,
Straightening it.
like this.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably lower for backswing.
I think so.
The more this straightens, the more your chest is up.
Yeah.
The more we want it to be around.
Feels like the right leg is like a pole,
Mm-hmm.
just rotating around it.
That's
I
what it
love
should
it.
feel like.
It's a great thought.
Yeah.
It's a great thought right there.
What did it feel like before?
moving
Lateral.
around.
Yeah.
It's like a pole vault before.
I haven't done this.
All right, so we had a great lesson today with Adrian Meronk. Always great seeing Adrian. Great player. Key takeaways here. So for distance wedges, contact is king, right? If we have the consistent contact each time, we can start to learn how much energy to apply so we can control our distances. I think once he learns what it feels like to actually turn versus move lateral, it'll start to eliminate that variable and make the contact a little more consistent. And then he's also learning that the more he sets, the more he has to time how he unloads or unsets the club. And that's another variable where a lot of great wedge players, they don't have a lot of set. Again, reducing variables with consistent contact for controlling distance. If all I have to think about is energy and how hard to swing and my contact stays the same, distance wedges become a lot of fun. If you guys like content like this and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe and like button below.